Greetings, Bat fans and fellow VEDS-ies alike. Welcome back to another day of VEDS. Today's video is going to be something that is pretty hard to stomach for all of us, as we are going to be talking about what is, without a doubt in my mind, the single worst piece of Batman media that has ever been produced. This is especially troubling for a person like myself, because we are going to be reviewing an episode of Batman 66, specifically Nora Clavicle and the Ladies' Crime Club, which is, again, an episode from Batman 66, which, for my money, is my personal favorite portrayal of the Caped Crusader. I loved watching Adam West's campy portrayal of Batman in reruns growing up as a kid. It wasn't until I watched the show on Blu-ray that I got the things I didn't see as a kid. As a kid, I loved the over-the-top performances, the campiness, the bright colors, the fun action, the bat fights. But when I watched it growing up in 2014, when I was first in college, on that Blu-ray box set they had finally released, I finally got the things, again, that I didn't see back then. And that is, in my opinion, what the mission statement of that portrayal of Batman was. Batman 66, at its core, is first and foremost a comedy. But William Dozier and, the showrunners at the beginning of the show knew that there had to be methods behind the madness. Otherwise, none of it mattered. Nora Clavicle, however, is an episode that has absolutely none of these things. It is an episode filled to the bat brim with misogyny and sexism, which kind of surprised me when I was doing research for this video, because the credited writer for this episode is Stanford Sherman, who, in my opinion, wrote arguably some of the best episodes of the show. He had a hand in some of the classic episodes, like when the Penguin ran for mayor, or when the Joker wanted to make fun and become a pop artist. And he even had a hand in writing the Zodiac Crime 3-parter, which was billed to a lot of audiences in the 60s as basically the TV version of Batman the Movie 2. I should also note before we start here that, again, this episode comes from the much bemoaned, even by fans of the show, Season 3, which, while doing good things like introducing us to Yvonne Craig's portrayal of Batgirl and Eartha Kitt's take on the Catwoman, it also had the misfortune of being the point in the show where it started to look cheap. This is when the show stopped doing the weekly two-parters, and every story, more or less, in Season 3 is a one-parter. The budgets for the episodes were also very much slashed, so again, at this point in the show, it's basically a parody of itself. But there's no use beating around the bush, is there? Let's take a look at Season 3, Episode 19 of Batman 66, Nora Clavicle and the Ladies' Crime Club. So we start off the episode at Commissioner Gordon's celebratory luncheon for his 25 years of service to Gotham City. Bruce, Dick, Barbara, Chief O'Hara, they are all in attendance, along with, of course, Commissioner Gordon himself, though noticeably missing are Mayor Linseed and his wife.
Where the devil is Mayor Linseed? He's supposed to present a special award to the commissioner.
There he is now, with Mrs. Linseed.
They seem to be arguing about something.
That, or based on the music, they're getting ready to do the Kazotsky Kick from TF2. Eventually, Mayor Linseed takes to the stage to present Commissioner Gordon with a commemorative 24-karat gold watch, only to then discharge him.
I hereby discharge Commissioner Gordon. And in his stead, I appoint as the new police commissioner of Gotham City, Miss Nora Clavicle.
Famous Nora Clavicle.
Who? It's here that we're introduced to the guest star of the week, famed TV actress Barbara Rush as, again, Nora Clavicle. Rush is essentially a TV veteran, having made multiple appearances in various shows throughout multiple decades, in shows like Maude, The Love Boat, and even Magnum P.I. She even won a Golden Globe for Most Promising Female Newcomer for her portrayal as Ellen Fields in the 1953 film It Came from Outer Space, and unfortunately, she died earlier this year.
As the new police commissioner, I intend to carry on my crusade for women's rights, and to prove that women can run Gotham City better than men. Much better.
Now, I want you to remember that little mouse-catool of a sentence. It's a surprise line that'll help us later. In addition to firing Gordon, she also fires Chief O'Hara and replaces him with Mrs. Linseed. When later pressed on why he allowed this to even happen in the first place, Mayor Linseed offers this as his line of reasoning.
My wife is such a devoted follower of Miss Clavicle's crusade for women that she refused to cook or clean or wash my shirts until I appointed Miss Clavicle Commissioner of Police.
So you fired your two best friends, people who have stood by you for years, because you are incapable of doing a little bit of cooking and cleaning. Dick move. One bat wipe later, and Clavicle calls up the Batcave to inform the dynamic duo that they too are also fired, and she cuts the line to the bat phone. Worried about what this means, they and Batgirl all take to their bat vehicles to investigate. We then learn that Mayor Linseed's wife, now given the name Millie, was in charge of basically completely reorganizing the police department.
It was nothing, really.
Nothing. To fire every man on the police force and replace them all with women. That was quite a job.
Okay, let's just dissect this for a moment. Not only is it incredibly problematic to have your villain of the week be a woman who champions for the rights of other women, because you're basically saying, in the eyes of Adam West's Batman, that idea is evil. We later come to find out that she didn't even want to be the police commissioner. Remember that little mouse-catool from before? Yeah, play that again.
As the new police commissioner, I intend to carry on my crusade for women's rights, and to prove that women can run Gotham City better than men. Much better.
Yeah, that was a bold-faced lie, because it's not that she wanted to be the police commissioner because she genuinely feels that she and her all-female police force can do the job better than Gordon and O'Hara and all of the male police officers. No, she wants to take control of the police department for the same reason that any other villain in this show has wanted to seize control of the police department: to rob, loot, and pillage without consequence. We see this later when Clavicle's henchwomen hold up Gotham City National Bank, and when the bank manager goes to the newly installed female police force, who are in the room, by the way, to report it. Do you think a 60s male writer is going to write a female cop, even though they have one as Batgirl, with any sort of integrity? No, of course you don't. Play the damn clip.
Add a little paprika and simmer over a low flame for 15 minutes.
Don't forget the bay leaves.
And a peppercorn or two.
Thank you!
Thank you? When my bank's just been burgled?
I hadn't thought of bay leaves.
Batman, Robin, and Batgirl later arrive at Gotham National Bank, and upon using the mobile Batcomputer in the Batmobile, are led to Dropstitch and Company, which the episode describes as
manufacturers of fine knitting needles.
Just go with it. But this is unfortunately a trap set by Clavicle, and she holds Batgirl up at needlepoint. Again, just go with it. Here, we see the Bat Death Trap of the episode. Now, for those of you who might not know, these bat traps are basically a trope of the 60s show. Its function was to basically give a way to set up the following night's episode via a cliffhanger, and give the villain a way to think Batman is either out of the way, dead, incapacitated, sometimes all of the above. So how does the viciously evil Nora Clavicle choose to trap the terrific trio? A human Siamese knot.
No, seriously.
You are wise to stay motionless, or you will be the terminated trio. The slightest move by any one of you will only draw the human knot tighter, crush your bones, strangle you.
Which does beg the question, how are they trapped here? Batgirl, Batman, and Robin are all tied together, which logic would dictate at some point in time, Nora Clavicle had to release Batgirl from her needle grip in order to tie them all up. And no, her henchwomen aren't armed. So I have no idea how the second Nora just releases Batgirl, this is just not over. I can only offer the explanation that at this point, Batman is just allowing himself to be trapped. Like it's an ego boost for him to figure out how to get out of things. Anyways, it's here where Clavicle reveals her grand master plan. That being, she's taken out an insurance policy on Gotham City itself.
I've insured Gotham City for $10 million, and what do you think it cost me?
$200, perhaps.
Right again, Batman.
So once she destroys it, she'll be rich.
No, seriously.
Okay, so, again, let's dissect this. Not only is Clavicle's plan so deliciously, devilishly evil that we are pretty much seeing it being played out in the real world, in real time, with people like David Zaslav and his handling of Warner Brothers Discovery, she then says that there will be no witnesses to anything that's about to happen.
But Gotham City will be destroyed. I'll collect the $10 million, and there won't be any witnesses around to make trouble.
Which implies that the only people, when Gotham City is demolished, that will be alive to know about it are her and her two henchwomen. That not only means that all of Gotham City, all of the citizens, innocent citizens by the way, as well as the villains in the state pen, are just going to be killed or destroyed. But if she took out the policy on Gotham City, in Gotham City, that also means that the insurance agency and the bank that would pay her are also going to be destroyed. So in the words of the great Tony Stark...
Not a great plan.
But James, I'm sure you're saying at this point, even though I'm not, how is Nora Clavicle going to destroy an entire metropolis without anyone knowing about it? Robotic mice, of course.
No, seriously.
Are they all set to go off 1/2 hour after sunset? Yes, boss. Oh, good. That will give them time to distribute themselves throughout the city.
And when they explode, there won't be a building left standing in Gotham City.
We briefly check back in with Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara for some mild misogyny.
True enough, Chief O'Hara. We only know one trade, and suddenly that trade is closed to us. Taken over by women.
Begorra the shame of it.
If that just wasn't the writer's full intent on writing this episode in a goddamn nutshell. Batman, Robin, and Batgirl escape from their human Siamese knot in a way that would certainly make Neil deGrasse Tyson's head explode.
If I can wiggle my ears, and if you are able to bend the fourth finger on your left hand just a fraction of an inch,
You might strangle us all.
release us, Batgirl. It's the basic formula for escaping from the Siamese human knot.
The trio leave Dropstitch and Company, and conveniently, just sitting next to the warehouse, find one of Clavicle's deadly rotary mice and figure out that they're linked with explosives. Batman then tells Robin to go to a police box to alert Chief Linseed, to have her mobilize her entire police force to start rounding up these rats and...
Oh, excuse me, Robin. I'm afraid I'm going to faint.
Oh, fuck off! Batman hands Robin and Batgirl tin whistles and tells them to play a specific tune around Gotham City. Basically Pied Pipering the Lucky Charms mice to the docks.
Frosted Lucky Charms!
They're magically delicious.
They're magically delicious!
Now, I could ask how Batman, Robin, Batgirl all seemingly know how to play these tin whistles that Batman just pulled out of his ass, or how Robin and Batgirl were so perfectly able to replicate Batman's musical interlude, even after only hearing it one time, or why the hell, at the end of the whole thing, Batman didn't just pick up this damn mice and throw them into the fucking water.
Keep to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
Yeah. You're right. You're right, MST3K. You're right. They couldn't even keep the mice visually consistent from one shot to the next. Are you serious? Okay, that's it. I'm wrapping this up. Clavicle and her henchwoman are taken to Batman by O'Hara, Gordon, and Alfred for some reason via a citizen's arrest for excessive speeding. I'm sure at this point Clavicle was promptly thrown in jail, and then probably released due to the lack of evidence that she actually did anything wrong. Status Quo returns to Gotham City, blah blah blah, and then we roll the credits. And that was Nora Clavicle and the Ladies' Crime Club. Do I even need to say anything? Not only was this episode filled with misogyny and sexism and stereotypes, it looks cheap, like that doc set looks terrible even for this show. It's also vastly inconsistent because they could shoot outside certain times when they want to. I guess they just didn't get the access to a doc set. It also commits a couple cardinal sins for the Batman 66 show for me. Number one, it's not funny. It's not even ironically funny. And two, and granted this one I can't really hold against it because again this was the 60s and times were different, there's no bat fight. At the end, Clavicle is just rounded up. There's no fight. And yes, okay, the character would not employ male henchmen like, say, a Catwoman, but given even saying that, I'm sorry, Julie Newmar's Catwoman, to me, is a more progressive, a better written female protagonist than this one was. Catwoman knows who she is and flaunts it. Now look, I don't really put any of this on Barbara Rush. From the few scenes that she was able to actually go full-on mustache-twirling evil, she could have played that very well, and honestly was my favorite part of her performance. But I've ranted far too long probably about this episode. My raw footage is like 42 minutes, so I'm gonna end it here. If you have seen this episode, leave it in the comments below. If you like this episode, leave it in the comments and let me know. Tell me how wrong I am, but I really don't think that I am. And until tomorrow, Bat fans, guys, gals, and my fellow VEDS-ies, I will see you tomorrow on the same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah, also somebody in the comments write how many times I made a bat pun. Alright, see ya.